Greetings, friends, and thanks for joining us for another episode of Let's Talk Travel. I'm Pat Hand, the owner of Dancing Moon Travel, where we save busy people time, money, and mistakes with fabulous vacation experiences. And this month of December, we are focusing on the exciting topic of adventure travel. And I'm so glad that you have joined us because I am excited to welcome this week's special guest, the sales manager for groups and travel trade with Aggressor Adventures. And we are welcoming Caroline Hasson. How are you, Caroline?
Hi, Pat. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me today.
Oh, we are just delighted that you could join us. And by the way, folks, if you have missed the live presentation and are joining us on an instant replay, we're very happy that you could join us as well. And we welcome you too. Caroline, I'm especially interested in this particular presentation, in this interview, because Aggressor is a new partner for us. I visited your exhibit when I was at Cruise World in November, and I was very intrigued by your product. It's very unique in the industry, and but before we get too far into those details, I always like to just start our interview by letting people know who you are and get acquainted a bit. So could you just tell us a little bit about who you are and how you made your way into the travel industry and found your way to Aggressor Adventures?
Definitely. Well, I started scuba diving when I was 10 years old, quite about 18 years ago. Seems like forever ago. I've always had a passion for travel and scuba diving. It's always been my favorite thing to do outside of work. And I went to college for hospitality management. And after I graduated college, I worked for multiple 5-star resorts before joining Aggressor about 4 years ago. My passion met my career at one point in time. And I was so happy to join Aggressor because I'm so passionate about travel, ocean conservation, and Aggressor does so much for ocean conservation and always giving back. So that's one of the things that I love about Aggressor. And I'm still a scuba diver, a master scuba diver. I love diving. I dive about once a year whenever I get the time. And yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Well, that is really cool. I always admire young people like you who get into some element of the travel industry early on. I think of all of the places that I didn't go because I came very late into the travel industry and just stumbled in it. So I'm always so envious of you guys who get started early. Because it does become a real passion very quickly. And what an amazing way to be able to take advantage of the opportunities that come your way. So Aggressor, it occupies a very unique niche in the travel elements. And I realize that you offer some river cruise options and some land options like African safaris even. But the major emphasis and what I want to focus on today is primarily your diving opportunities, because you specialize. I mean, you can if you go on one of the big cruise lines, you may be able to book a diving excursion in some of the ports, but these are parceled out to various local providers, and the experience may vary. Some may be good and some not so good, but I don't know of anybody else that's out there doing what you do, focusing on the people that are passionate about diving.
Definitely. I'd love to give you a quick history on Aggressor just to kind of help you understand where we started and where we are now.
Love that.
Started in 1984. Our first yacht was in the Cayman Islands. The first came at Aggressor. And there was really a demand for adventure travel. Ever since Jaws came out, people were intrigued to start swimming with sharks and scuba diving and exploring the coral reefs. There was a huge demand for it back in the early 80s. And our first boat was in the Cayman Islands. And then we opened up in Belize. And yep, that's the Cayman Aggressor. And now we have over 20 different destinations all over the world. And about 4 years ago is when we opened up our Aggressor River Cruises and Aggressor Safari Lodge brands. So we started in scuba diving, and now we've kind of opened up a little bit more to other adventure travel opportunities.
But adventure is the key element that is consistent no matter what you're offering. Um,
Definitely.
so, adventure travel, I think, is one of the biggest the exploration type cruises, and the adventure travel are really areas that the travel industry is just beginning to tap into, for those people who enjoy travel, but also like that element of adventure and higher activity. You're not content to go and get on a sightseeing tour and ride a bus around the island. You want to be out doing it, and so that is very, very cool. How does the fact that you guys specialize in the diving arena, how does that affect, do you think, the guest experience when they book with you?
Yeah, definitely. So one of our main focuses is going to be scuba diving and snorkeling, but we can't forget about all of our other things that we offer too. Like all of our amenities, all of our 5-star dining options. But with the scuba diving, we offer the best scuba diving destinations in the world. Every single one of our different destinations that we operate in is going to be that top tier scuba diving destination. And each one of them is unique as well. So, like we have the Caribbean, which is going to be easier for like first time divers, warm water, diving off the back of the ship, all the way up to more of those more adventure based excursions like Costa Rica, where you're diving with hundreds of schools of hammerhead sharks, or Guadalupe Island with the cage diving with great white sharks. So we offer an experience for each diver in mind. All the way up from never have scuba dive before in your life, all the way up to advanced scuba diving.
So you welcome the novice. What people? I heard you say something about the first time diver. So you guys would
Definitely.
work with somebody who wants to dive but never has had the opportunity. This could be their first dive with you guys.
Definitely. In our Caribbean destinations, we actually can certify you on board. We recommend that you do all of the coursework through us online before, just so you're not spending your vacation reading a book about scuba diving. And then you do your checkout dive, and you'll work with a master diver or an instructor when you get on the boat. And then once they feel that you're comfortable enough to dive on your own through the rest of the week, you can just dive with your buddy. So it's not going to be a resort course. It's going to be more of an actual scuba diving certification. We take safety very seriously with Aggressor. So we like you to do the coursework beforehand, and then we go through all of the checkout dives, all the information you need to know while you're on the boat.
I love that. So what are some of your more popular, you I really, when I was doing some research, I noticed that you guys are really everywhere around the globe. You've got what are some of your more popular, the Caribbean is a kind of a given, especially for us Floridians down here. But what are some of your other destinations where you offer the dive experience?
I'd like to highlight Egypt, because right now Egypt has been so hot in the travel industry. And that's because Egypt, post-COVID, was one of the first countries to really open up and require that pre-arrival testing. And now they actually do testing at the airports. So getting into Egypt, they had a really seamless transition from, the lockdown to opening things up back in the travel industry. And the great thing about Egypt is we offer a land-based excursion, which is our Aggressor River Cruises. And you can pair that with any of our 3 diving trips we have. And our newest addition that's opening in January 22 that we're really excited about is our RE Aggressor, which dives the South Egypt into Sudan. And the great thing about that itinerary is that you can dive with schooling hammerheads. There's lush coral reefs, wreck diving. It offers such a diverse spectrum of all different types of itineraries.
Well, that is I had no idea, and folks, this is the truth. I had no idea that Egypt was it was not on my radar as a destination for divers at all.
Yeah, and it's also very affordable as well, the Red Sea. So you can book a dive trip starting at, 12.50 right now. So it's going to be very affordable compared to some of the other destinations. And that's one of the reasons why I think your money stretches so far in Egypt. So you can do a river cruise, you can do a land-based tour in Cairo, and you can do a scuba diving trip all under, $3,500. So Egypt has so much to offer. And I'm actually leading a fam trip in Egypt in April. So I'm really excited to go back.
That is really, I mean, I've just learned something and totally new, because that was not anywhere on my radar that I would think to look at Egypt for a vacation. So that's cool. What are a couple of your other destinations that people might be surprised at?
Oh, goodness. Well, the Caribbean is always going to be a popular destination. Like you said, coming from the US, it's a really quick flight, very easy to get to. One of our unique destinations that we offer is the Galapagos Islands.
Ah,
So if you don't know anything about the Galapagos Islands, it has one of the most diverse wildlife in the entire world. You could be swimming with penguins and iguanas and then diving with schooling sharks and all this different diverse coral reef and fish. So Galapagos is one of our unique destinations, I would say, that we offer just because there's so much diversity there.
and that is true. I mean, we booked the Galapagos with with the expedition cruises and so forth, and the diving just adds an additional layer and an element, special appeal for people who have that special interest to be able to combine an incredible vacation in the Galapagos with their passion for diving. So I love that.
Definitely.
I love that. What about accommodations on board your vessels? What would clients expect, as far as their rooms and so forth on board your vessels?
Definitely. So we have a few different accommodation types. We have anything from just basic bunk beds with a queen bed on the bottom or a double and then a twin bed on top, that houses two people, all the way up to our master cabins. For example, on the Cayman Aggressor, we have balcony suites with huge, large restrooms, an open sliding glass door with a balcony. So our accommodations are quite diverse. When it kind of comes to how much you want to spend. We have some people that they just want a bunk so they can go scuba diving. And we have others that, want a little bit more laid back vacation, a larger cabin with a balcony suite. So all of our rooms are going to have private restrooms. And then our rooming is done per person.
Okay. So a person, a solo traveler, are they able to request a roommate, or do they need to bring their own?
Yeah, so we're going to put you with someone of the same gender if you're paying just for one space.
Okay.
But you can also pay a 65% upcharge if you'd like your own room. That's the single supplement fee.
Okay, so yours is at 65% instead of 100%. That's a bargain in this industry, folks. For those of you who are solo travelers, you know that you get hit with that single supplement, and usually it just means you get to pay twice for the privilege of going. So 65% as a supplement is actually very, very attractive to the solo travelers. And so if you are a diver, great way to make new friends too, I would think, in the when you travel with people who are like-minded like that, you could come away with a whole new set of friends by the time your dive trip is over.
Let me tell you, that happens all the time. I get so many stories of people saying, wow, I just met my best friend and now we've been on 10 Aggressor trips together just because they were my roommate or my dive buddy. And we get a lot of solo travelers as well. We actually run single diver weeks where it's just solo travelers as well. So there's a huge demand, I think, right now in the travel industry for solo travel. I mean, you don't need anyone to travel with. You can just travel yourself, and everyone on the boat is so social as well. You're having all your meals together, you're diving together. People become great friends while they're on board.
That is really cool. I've just had my first couple of solo travel experiences, and it was great. I was kind of concerned the first time out. I'm accustomed to traveling with my husband, and this was a agent only invitation, so I couldn't take him along, and so I was a little bit concerned about how. And I had a great time. I missed him. Obviously, I love to travel with him, but it really was very, very comfortable. So I was glad to have that experience, and I've done it again, and found out that, hey, you really can travel solo and have a fabulous experience. So people are friendly, and you meet new people, and you come away with new connections. So it is great. I have a doorbell going off in the background. I'm so sorry. Uh, Now, cruisers are always interested in food. So, what about your food on board the ship? What would they expect with the dining?
Yeah, definitely. So people always think, oh, our specialty is going to be scuba diving. Well, actually, one of our specialties is the food. We have some of the best chefs in the entire world. A lot of them have gone to extensive culinary training. And let me tell you, to produce a meal for 20 people in a small kitchen, it's a really challenging job, and they do an amazing job at it. So all of our food and all of our destinations is going to be different. A lot of them have a little bit of a local flair, right? So in the Caribbean, an example would be a Caribbean lobster with steak, like a surf and turf. So it's going to be high-end dining. All of our lunch is going to be more of a buffet style, but it's served to you. And it's going to be a little bit more casual. And then dinner is going to be a seated table service with complimentary beer and wine as well.
That is lovely. That is lovely. And folks, dining is always a big deal when you're cruising, because there's something about getting out in the water that it does create an appetite. So, and another thing I was interested in finding out, Caroline, what about equipment? Do the divers need to bring everything they're going to use, or are there rental options? How does that work?
So it's really up to the diver's discretion. You can rent everything you need on board. What we do recommend is that you bring your own mask, snorkel, and fins, just because it really is going to be fit to your face. So when you're using a scuba diving mask, eventually it molds to your face shape. So when you're using a mask that, of course, has been completely sanitized after every trip, but other people have used it, we really recommend bringing your own mask, snorkel, and fins. But everything else you can rent right on board. You don't need to bring anything with you, or you can bring everything with you. It just really depends on the scuba diver's preference.
Right, right. And quite frankly, that there's a lot of equipment involved, and a lot of it I would think can get pretty cumbersome to drag around. So great that you have that on board for those who would prefer to just take advantage of that rather than bringing everything with. Uh, so. What destination? Another question for you, just about destinations, and let's say the novice divers. Are there any particular destinations that you would recommend for those people who have just started to dive, or maybe they're going to dive the first time with you guys?
Definitely. So we recommend any of our Caribbean destinations. So for example, Roatan, Belize, Turks and Caicos, Bahamas. And the great thing about those destinations is you're diving in warm water, which is a huge benefit to the first time diver. You're already adjusting to the whole act of scuba diving. And when you're diving in a water temperature that's comfortable to you, it kind of helps you get more acclimated in your setting. Also, the great thing is you're diving right off the mothership. So some of our destinations like Galapagos, for example, you're tender diving. So you're going on a dinghy and they're taking you to the dive site and bringing you back to the main boat. Whereas in the Caribbean, you can dive right off the back of the ship. And also a great thing about the Caribbean is it's very snorkel friendly as well. So if you try out scuba diving and decide it's not for you, or decide you want a break, snorkeling is always an option in the Caribbean.
That is good to know, because some couples may have one person who is passionate about the diving and another one who's not so interested in that, and so they could snorkel and swim and just kind of do their own thing. That's great to know.
Oh, definitely. We get that all the time. And you know what I tell people is you're going to have just as much fun on board because you're going to get that social aspect. You get to hear about everyone's awesome scuba dives and you get to see all the photos. So it's kind of like you're living the experience, even if you only want to snorkel.
And you know, for some people, they might get bitten by the bug. They think they don't want to do it. They just kind of being immersed in it all through the week. Maybe they decide to try it. I'm sure that happens from time to time.
Definitely. And, you know, we do a $200 discount if you don't want to scuba dive throughout the week. And if you get on board and realize that you might want to try it, we'll be more than happy to take you down just maybe 10, 15 feet, show you what it's like with an instructor. You don't need to get certified. You can just try it out. And then if you decide you want to do it, we go from there.
Okay, that is great. I love the way you guys work with people. And I'm sure that you are introducing people to this great sport of scuba, and probably hundreds of people over the course of a couple of years, I would imagine.
Oh, definitely.
Now, big question here, and I swear it just keeps getting bigger. Now we have a new variant out there, so this COVID crisis, it just continues to wreak havoc in the travel industry. It seems like it refuses to go away. So with all the noise we're hearing about Europe and the new variant, Omicron out of South Africa, uh, are most of your destinations currently open for diving? Are there areas of concern that you'd advise waiting for another day?
So all of our destinations right now that have been open and operating have been doing a fabulous job. And I actually received a quote from my CEO, and I'd like to read that to you if that's okay.
I love it. Yes.
Yeah. So Wayne Brown, who was our CEO, I asked him to comment on this specific question, and this is what he said. Most of our destinations are open, and they have been very successful in keeping arriving tourists safe and COVID-free. Adding in our own enhanced sanitizing and cleaning has given our guests additional peace of mind that they can still enjoy a great adventure.
I love it. I love it. You know, I still encounter people who are reluctant to travel, and people who are, you know, canceling cruises. And, you know, frankly, Caroline, it kind of escapes me a little bit because the safest I have felt so far anyway, in the epidemic has been on board those ships where I know that on those large ships, everybody is vaccinated. They've been tested. What about Aggressor? Is testing required? What about vaccination? Where are you guys with that?
Definitely. So how we operate is we follow all of the local guidelines for each destination. So depending on what the local law regulates, that's how we operate the destination.
Okay.
Whether that's an antigen test, a PCR test, a vaccination, that's how we go by our guidelines. And that's because we operate all over the world. All of the regulations are going to be completely different in each destination. So it's really challenging to have a company-wide regulation when we operate by local law. So each of our destinations is going to be different. And we have an entire travel updates page on our website. So when you go to our website, it's in big, bold letters where you can view each of our different destinations, the testing. So we also test getting back into the US on the last day of your excursion in most of our destinations. So we make the testing process getting back into the US very seamless.
Okay, that is good to know because we do have to factor that into every traveler now is that testing requirement for coming back. And now more so, I think, than ever, they're going to be very stringent. I've heard that they may shorten the window instead of within 3 days. I think they may get it down to within 24 hours of your return. So folks, that's one of the challenges in these days is that they just continue to evolve, and every destination comes with its own rules and protocols. So we do the best we can. We keep up with those things so our clients don't have to worry about that because we will give them the information they need. So Caroline, is there anything important that we failed to cover that you think our audience should know about Aggressor Adventures?
Goodness, we feel like we've covered so much. It's hard. I would just recommend going on our website and viewing our different destinations. We have all different itineraries, tons of photos available, videos. We have podcasts from, tons of different people like Guy Harvey or Les Stroud, and then contacting Pat, to plan your destination as well. And we've been doing this for a really long time, and it's something that we're very passionate about as well.
I love that. I love that. Well, Caroline, it has been fabulous. It seems like the time just flies. We so appreciate you joining. It has been great to learn this. I'm excited to have you guys as a new partner and to be able to really have somebody to connect with to really well serve our clients who are passionate about diving. And just recently, I've begun working with some new people that are into the diving, and so we are hoping to have this affiliation be a really strategic partnership to better serve their needs. And I am so glad we connected at Cruise World. And folks, for more information, just reach out to me. Look at the Aggressor Adventures website, see what they're all about. And we would love to turn that dream trip into a plan. We don't want people to die with regrets. We want you to have memories. And this sounds like you would create some incredible memories on a trip with Aggressor Adventures. Thank you again, Caroline. We so appreciate your taking time to join us, and we will be staying in touch.
Thank you, Pat. I really appreciate you having me.
Okay, our pleasure. Thanks, everybody. See you next time at Let's Talk Travel.